Why did AVA get rid of it? Is it like, was this sort of just lost flavour because it was in a not really the notable region of Victoria?
Well, it's a fair question because there's been a number of owners, but AVA, none of them are actually miners in any sense of the word. I think they're more opportunistic. Certainly the gold price in recent years has been good, and they were looking to offload it. They just couldn't find the right connection with the right players till we came along and did the deal. So in a lot of ways, I'm fine with them doing what they did, because if they did otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it. So for me, that's a great opportunity.
This is general advice and my opinions only. This episode's company has paid me for this interview. I may be long, short, or hold an interest in stocks or CFDs mentioned. Past performance isn't reliable. The interviewee's views are their own, not necessarily mine. LEVRD operates as a corporate authorised representative, 00131 8377 under AFSL 548573. You can find our financial services guide via the LEVRD website, link in the show notes.
Righto, bag holders and stop loss haters. We're going into a bit of a gold shell rebirth here. Rokeby Resources, RKB. I've got the MD Richard Beazley on, mate. Mate, the early stage, plenty coming up. 9 mil market cap. I think you're going to be about 14 odd post the deal. How are you, mate? Welcome to LEVRD.
G'day, Matt. Doing well, mate. Pretty excited now with this deal. Been a bit of work over the last little while to get it all done and dusted, but we're in for a show now. We've got plenty on to get people excited.
Last time I talked to a Beazley was, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, asking for a pay rise on the jumbo when your son was me boss. So a different tone this time. So
it is, mate. You won't have to ask me for a pay rise. That's fine.
Not yet. Not for this next financial year, maybe. Mate, okay. So you have Rokeby was. So, Shell, you've vended in the Omeo Gold Project in Victoria. And then when I say Victoria, if we bring up the map here, as you can see, it's on the eastern side of Victoria. So we're not in the usual Victorian goldfields, but this is a historic project, but a bit out of the way, different area. And you've got a few 100,000 ounces at 4 grams, and we're going to get right into it. But how'd this one come across your desk, mate? You've been around the traps a while, and I assume this is your first stab in Victoria, is it?
It is. I have to say, it came across my desk back in October 24, so it's been a while sitting there. The project itself has been shopped around, so there's a bit of history around it all. It's by a bit of luck, just the right network, right place, right time, hit the desk, and we got into it and did the desktop studies on due diligence as you do, and then moved through all that. We got to the point where we thought, okay, Victoria's the go. You know, that was certainly an issue of concern, Victoria. You know, there's a general view that it's all too hard to do business down there. But, you know, talking to some of the guys that are already operating down, the Kaiser Reef boys and some of the Southern Cross boys, it was interesting. The feedback was, the government has changed its tune. So by the time we got to about February, March last year, we were red hot to go. So we're moving on that. And it was around about July, we then formally put in an option agreement over the play, and the rest was really history. So here we are today, after much negotiation with the vendors. We've come out the other end with a winner. So looking forward to move the project forward.
So, and because in terms of like the permitting side of Victoria, and I guess the stigma attached to the joint, you got Tim Pallas as the non-exec chairman, respected Victorian politician. If you use those words together, how did he come on board? Was that sort of part of the deal, or was he there originally attached to that asset? How'd that come about?
Totally independent. So in part of our DD work and dealing with that potential element of risk around approvals and such like, just with our network, we became aware that Tim had finished up in December 24 as a politician and was at a loose end, so to speak. And we put it to him. Took a bit of work because I think he was also looking at some bigger groups to go and do some board roles with. But we're able to convince him that Victoria's the place where he needs to be. He's got the history there. He wears a Victorian hat. We need a leader like him to, show that Victoria is a place of interest for investment. And who else would we want than a leader like him to come in and do that? Obviously, Tim comes with a history there for over 20 years as a politician. So obviously he was treasurer there in his last few years. He did do his time on a number of portfolios, and one of them is looking at resources, the Department of Resources down there. So he knows all the players, and from our point of view, in terms of getting approvals done, Tim and his network there is just so important in terms of making contact with the right people to make sure pieces of paper don't sit on people's desks and we can move it through very efficiently. And it's also good. We've got now contact with the top echelons of the mines department there, and they are so keen to demonstrate to the rest of Australia and the world, indeed, that Victoria is up for investment. And they've reiterated that to me on numerous occasions. And even through this process of the due diligence, they've been able to demonstrate that they're there in serious for business going forward. So I'm more than happy with what we've come out with on the back end of this transaction. So for us now, it's nothing to do with the Victorian government. My view is it's about myself and my team getting the executables done. That's it. Simple.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's totally done a 180 to what Victoria was for. So I think all the existing ones would be pretty bloody happy about that as well.
Yeah. Oh no, we're talking to the Kaiser Reef guys and Southern Cross. They've been able to demonstrate the same thing in reality. Actually execute real approvals and get them done on a reasonable time frame. So, and we're seeing the same thing. So, as far as I'm concerned, Victoria's game on.
Looking at the project, before we get into what you paid for it, we'll go across what's actually here. So I got the long section up here. So obviously, old workings. You got sort of 5.8 k's of strike. You're going to be looking at like some of the historical. Victoria's got, tell you what, it's got some grade, that bloody state. No wonder it's hard to approve. It's been hard to approve because it's bloody high grade. It's like the Congo. It's like you got the Maud area. You got 11 at 13 from 200 metres. Like Sunnyside, there's 15.9 at 52 grams. Like WA bloody take that any day. So how is it sort of, and your resources is a 4 gram resource. Is it a very nuggety system? What type of system is it, and where is that resource in relation to all those old workings?
Right. Well, that's simple. That long section really says it all. So you can see there with the arrow along the base there, 5.8 is the strike. Now that's based on all the old workings. So on that long section, you'll see written there, kind of on the sideways, is all the old workings across the surface. They're all fairly shallow, no deeper than about 100 metres, those workings. But where the resource is that pink shaded area. So in the centre there is the Maud, and then to the right-hand side is Sunnyside. So those two zones make up the known resource at this stage of 320,000 ounces of gold. And you can see where it's all open on the basis between Sunnyside and Maud, that 1.8, 1.9k gap, and then both ends of the strike as well. And we can say that because of all the old workings and the fact that you can walk the ground through there and you can see all the systems, the mineralisation across the surface. It wasn't necessarily of interest back in 1892 when they first got into this ground, because they're looking for ounce plus dirt, not a few grams plus. The world is a little different there with gold price
dropped to zero
and the like. So it's pretty damn exciting. And then whilst it's open along strike there, it's also open at down dip. So the resource itself is actually only about maximum of about 200 metres below surface. So it's an orogenic system. So she just keeps going down. We've got no idea where it actually ends. We haven't really tested any of that, so it's all open at depth as well. So there's plenty of upside. So that's one of the things that really excited me about this project when I first saw it. For a small junior to come in, you before this, we're basically just an explorer. So here's a near-term producer, the development stage. And so having a resource there on the ground that's accessible, because the other part of this is that section actually sits along a ridge or a mountain as such. Well, that bottom diagram there gives you a sense of the relief or the rise in the ground. So from one end at Maud up to Sunnyside, there's a change in about 700 metres in elevation. So it is mountainous, and it's all accessible by adits principally. There are a few little shafts, but everything's beginning to mineralisation pretty quickly. It's just straight adits about no more than tens of metres to a few hundred metres. So it's cheap to get in. The fact the adits are there, don't have to drive in new drives at all. We'll just potentially pick an adit and strip it out and off you run to do that. So exciting stuff, I have to say, straight up front.
Is that so? That going in through the hill there, is all the old workings? Is it all very, very small scale stuff? Like,
Yeah.
it'd be a lot of fresh
typical
development to go in.
Yeah, no. It's all typical kind of air leg stuff. You still see all the rails and that in there on the ground.
Yeah.
So it kind of takes me back to my days in Kalgoorlie when I first cut my teeth as an underground air leg miner. I was a little skinnier in those days, but that's exactly what it was there. So quite exciting. So, I understand narrow vein gold mining. That's where I cut my teeth through all the years. Mind you, I've gone off and done other things in mining, a little bit different to narrow vein gold mining, but this kind of system makes a lot of sense. And the grade there, as you've seen on some of those holes, is very, very high. So it really lends itself to being developed and sustainably at that.
Is so the transaction itself, it's, let me just get to it. So there's I guess a lot of milestones to achieve, and it's a pretty detailed list of line items. So I guess briefly, what have you paid up front? What are the milestones? And I guess like by the end of it, how much will it cost Rokeby to get the whole thing if you achieve all the milestones, which I assume the milestones are in your best interest?
Well, they are. Obviously, it's negotiated, but that's fine. The idea is obviously to pay out at least up front as you can, and then lock in the milestones down the track, more on a risk basis. So the overall deal all up is $15 million divided in 9.5 million cash and 5.5 million in script. The 9.5 upfront component of that is 3.5 million. Now, Rokeby, in this case, because of the nature of the transaction, will only be paying 2.55 of that quantum. Now, that's because the company that I was driving to get this deal, an unlisted vehicle called Tiger Tasman, put in the first 950,000. We've got to say 950 million. That'd be a sizable sum. $950,000 for the first component of that upfront cash. So 2.55 for Rokeby, and that will be done in the next few days. So we've got all the approval on the 2nd of June for from the shareholder meeting to with the transaction, its approval. So that's done. So we'll follow that up with the 2.55 million finalisation for that front consideration. And then really the other component, so $6 million is divided into two lots. First lot is based on first gold pour, and the second component of 3 million will be the anniversary date of that first gold pour. So that's down the track. And then the 5.5 million in script is set up in 3 tranches. We've done that deliberately so we can manage the tranches as it hits the marketplace. So you'll see that there on the screen. So up front, basically on the deal is all set around a 0.4 cent share price, which is where we were with Rokeby share a few months ago when we were putting all this together. So $2 million worth of shares up front in 6 months, another 2 in 12 months, and then the residual 1.5 in 18 months. So all quite manageable. So ideally, we would like AVA to take the shares and not the cash. So the cash is there as a fallback for them as a minimum basis. So we don't envisage that. Certainly the plan going forward, this mine's got a lot of things to do executable wise. So we don't see share price going south at all. So Rokeby will be putting shares in ABA's hands down the track.
Is that
And then there's a royalty. Sorry.
Oh yeah, the 1.5% royalty. Is that that election of cash? Is that at whose election is that for the?
That sits with ABA.
Oh well, so incentive for Rokeby's get the bloody share price high, so they're mad not to take them in shares, effectively.
Correct. You know, we can talk about what we're going to do. Indeed, and give a sense of where the upside of all this project is. So, we talk about a resource in the ground as it is. As we speak now, drilling is underway. It's the first drill program up in Sunnyside. So when we're looking at that long section, that was that resource area on the right-hand side of that long section, or to the north. Now we targeted in there deliberately because there's a particular hole in there, hole 17. If you go to the previous pages in that presentation, there's a table of all the holes. So hole 17 is that beautiful one there. There it is there in the middle of the page. So nearly 16 metres at 52 grams. So what we wanted to do was just twin that hole. So that's what we're doing. That's more of a check to see where they were back in the day when they drilled it, make sure everything complies with what we think it is on a log structural basis, and then we'll span out from that with some infill work around that. But we know there's that zone there is quite high grade. So hole 17, you'll see there in the plan, basically in the centre between those two systems on the plan.
Yeah.
And where your cursor is, just to the left there.
Oh yeah, I gotcha. Gotcha.
So it's in that zone there. So it's a particularly important position up there. Now, also importantly here, coming back out of the page on that long section, there's a number of adits in there too. So we will be working on getting approvals to go in and rehab those adits. Probably at least 2 of them at this stage to get access in there and drive into the page or across those sections from the east to the west. So in the plan on the top part there, you'll see 2 systems. There's actually a third one further off the page above. And the reason it's not there, there's just been no drilling in it at all. Though there are old mine workings. So, and then even those 2 structures you see there, there's only drilled in sections. They haven't drilled on either end of the strike. And particularly poignant is to the left-hand side or the southern side, there's an old mine known as Democrat Mine, which is in its day quite a producer. And again, there's no drilling around that. So none of the previous owners of this tenements have done any work there at this stage. So for me, I just look at it and go, wow, there's a Democrat Mine there.
Yeah.
So much upside. And, you know, the ground when you're walking through there, you'll see the gold in parts. Now, you did ask a question earlier, you know, what's the nature of the gold? Generally, it's not nuggety at all. It's actually quite fine grained. So you don't get to see a lot of visible gold there. So for me, that makes life a lot easier. We don't have to worry about top cuts at this point. All the work to date is suggesting that we don't need to put any top cuts on the gold, and that gives me a better sense of the security when we're doing our assays and converting, you know, our models to plans and then plans to actual, that we should get closer to the mark without putting some guesses or estimates in there to get to the end result. So pretty happy with that, I have to say.
The resource number should be bigger too, shouldn't it?
Sorry, mate?
The resource number should be bigger too, shouldn't it, if you've got no top cuts?
Well, they will be. So, well, let's talk about that, because the 320,000 ounces is just in that pink area. That's in the model.
Yeah.
Now, the model itself, and that's another piece of work we're doing straight up, apart from drilling, is upgrading the model. So we've had a well-known firm here in Perth have a look at that model, and indeed the vendors, ABA, did so previously before we got our hands on it. And their view there is the previous work done around the domaining and some of the kind of structural work put into it. Well, dare I say, just needs to be redone to actually represent what can be seen in the core and the various mapping and that we've done underground and others have done underground. So there's a view there that we'll see an upgrade with on the model, just as it is, just putting the right domaining in there and some of the structural stuff in there. And our short-term aim is to try and lift that to just sub 500,000 ounces is the target on that work alone. And then obviously subsequent to that piece of work on the model, we'll then upgrade it again once we get this drilling done and upgrade it later on a second round. So some immediate upsides just from the drilling and then from the model itself. So pretty exciting stuff in news flow and actual activities going forward here for this project.
Is that what's the permitting status like with the existing underground? Like, is it classed as a mining license? I know Victoria's obviously, if you can translate it to WA terms, maybe about how the permitting over there
back
works.
Earlier in the deck here, on the one with the plan. There we go. So just looking, this project's actually got two areas of interest. So Mount Wills there to the north, and then Cassilis to the south. Cassilis has got two big exploration leases, lots of mining, and there's about 155 different mining shows historically through there. So a lot of upside, but not as well developed as Mount Wills. So the Cassilis is another piece to come later on for us, but Mount Wills is where we are. So the big lease there is the exploration lease, 6323. But in the middle there's a little dark bordered sliver known as Min 4921. That's it. So that really just follows the main shear structure. Call it running north-south. It's not quite north-south, but you'll see the nature of the tenement there, how it runs. So it's in there that the Mount Wills resource of 320 ounces sits. And that's certainly our focus going forward to bring that on up there.
So is that if you've got the mining lease already, is there your standard enviro? Is there native title to do over there? How does that work to start potentially?
Well, in a lot of ways, it's similar to WA. It's you have your exploration leases and mining leases. So Min 4921 is an mining lease, I should say.
Yep.
So that gives us a number of rights to move forward with the process of mining. It doesn't give you an open license to start mining. We've still got a bunch of approvals to go through to get that. But really, as we go through the course of putting all our documentation together for a feasibility study, which we'll need obviously for fundraising and the like down the track, and obviously to de-risk the whole project. So we've still got to go through the environmental piece. So there's a lot of data done on water at this stage, and we'll continue that work going forward. But we've got to do the flora fauna piece, so that'll take 2 seasons to do all that.
Yeah.
So we've got to get that in place. We've got further hydrological studies to do, geotech studies, obviously the mining study itself in terms of all the stope designs and the like. The metallurgical work, there's plenty of that to do. I think metallurgy, there's never an ending to that. There's always ongoing to optimise, but certainly up front to de-risk, we need to do that work. So all up, the general view is for a full-on sustainable mine, it's going to take us a few years to get into that position, to get it into that play. But it's about what we can do before we get there. Traditionally, a mine like this would cost us north of $100 million to get it into a position to be commercial. But there's a few things here, which is the other part it got me excited when I first saw this. We can actually get in and generate cash early, potentially, and that's where I'm going to be focused on whilst we develop the mine in the background with all the study work.
Is that just like remnant air leg mining, effectively, or what are you thinking there?
Well, let's just go back to those sections since you've got control of this deck. That's that one there. So I'm looking at that plan, a long section on the bottom there. So if you go to the left-hand side, you'll see a line going across the page there. We'll just move your cursor up so people can see what I'm talking about. Just that another little bit there, that line there. Whoop, down one.
Yep.
That's it. That's known as adit 5.
Yeah.
Adit 5 actually comes out just above where we have all our infrastructure on the ground there, workshops and offices and the like. And that extends in for about 900 metres that you can access now. So I've been down there and through there. Some fallen ground at the back end, but it extends further. And then above that, there's adits 4, 3, and 2, which have been in. In that zone, there is some higher grade dirt left behind. And we know that from the old production records. And we also know that from the old miners that were there. So the last time they mined that was in late 58, 59, a few years. But the old boys on retreat out of there, when they closed the mine down at the time, actually dropped the backs deliberately. And they did that so people just couldn't wander in literally and go and help themselves with the gold in the face and in the pillars there. So on that basis, we are going to finalise the approvals to get in there. Well, they call them work plans in Victoria. Get in there and open all that up, rehab it, and use that as an exploratory drive for underground drilling in some of those remnant zones up there initially. And we'll test that ground. And if indeed it is true, there is very high grade dirt, we'll seriously look at taking some bulk samples out of that. And some of the grades there, dare I say, touted in ounce dirt, so multiple ounces of that. So those kind of grades, if they're real when we get in there and test it, then that gives us an option then to take some bulk samples and go and truck that down to Bendigo, Ballarat. There's some plants down there that are hungry for dirt. We can do a toll treating arrangement just to get that going. Yeah. Just bearing in mind, this option here doesn't have a mill, which is another point about this project. While most people would consider not having a mill in your area a negative, having a strategic way forward with generating early cash flow, it's actually a positive, because not only do we have gold assets in these tenements we've picked up now, there's a whole load of stranded gold assets here that have no way of getting to market easily. So if we can develop Mount Wills, get that up and running with a plant, then we start to unlock the whole region. And the region's important here because it's actually separated from Bendigo and Ballarat, apart from distance, but the Blue Mountains actually runs through here to our west. So all the other mines are on the other side of the mountain. And it's a bit of an effort to get over the mountain, let me say, particularly in winter. You don't go over the mountain generally, you go around it overall. So anyone mining in this district generally can't put it in a truck or get it toll treated anywhere. So if we get this high grade dirt, there's certainly an option there to truck it. Just for a few grams to truck it, we'll do okay out of that, dare I say.
So how far from, say, like Malden or like bloody what are the other ones in the area, like Fosterville, Ballarat and all that?
Yeah, no, we're talking about 500 k's in that order. So it's a fair distance. It's not exactly that great Australian phrase of saying it's just down the road.
Yeah.
Which it is in that vernacular sense, but no, it's a cost, and so you need the grade to get it there. But this mine's got the grade in parts, so in these what they call locally is the jewellery boxes. So there's big dilation zones that carry these grades here. If that's exactly where this is, we've got easy access in there as an exploration drive to take some bulk samples. Then we're off to the market. And look, the other piece here that attracted me up front is there is lots of old tailings sitting around, both at Mount Wills and down at Cassilis, and old mullock heaps. Now, you've got to remember the mullock, or waste dumps. In those days, they were chasing multi-ounce dirt, so the waste in today's terms isn't necessarily waste. So we know they're running grade in them. So we can't talk JORC numbers at this stage, but certainly my intention over the next little while is to go test those tailings and the waste dumps. And if anyone's got any idea of what happens in the past in terms of the efficiencies of processing and mining and that, these tailings won't be like modern tailings where they're well and truly south of 1 gram. These things will be a bit higher grade than that.
Yeah.
So there's another option in there to bring on some early cash flow potentially, but that's work we need to explore in the next little while to excite the market. So there's a few things going on here for us. So I want to get the drilling underway with some good results, get the modelling upgraded, explore this tailings deposits and some of the old waste dumps, get some numbers around that, and then also get some of these approvals in place for underground access, where I've just said Adits 4, 3 and 2. And we've also got an old existing one at Adits 5 that's been carrying on, but we need some minor amendments to that. So we're working with the mines department on that. And I want to get some access underground up at Sunnyside. When we first had a look at that area earlier on in this conversation. So plenty of work to do in the next few months to demonstrate to the market we're here to get things done and get them done efficiently and quickly.
Yeah, because looking at it's pretty much you'd be just begging the market for cash all the time unless you don't generate a bit yourself. Like looking at pro forma, you got, one and a bit in the bank. Sounds like the deal is structured well, as you said, that your milestone payments are on first gold, and after that there's no time payments, and hopefully the rest will be in shares. So, but it sounds like, are you looking to do like a consolidation or anything soon? Like I said, 3.6 billion shares on issue to try and tidy things up a bit, or?
No, that's certainly on the plans. Yeah, it depends on who you talk to.
Can go either way.
There's a sector in the market that just hates having so much shares on issue, and I get that picture, and I have no problem with that. For an attractive investment, most fundies and that just like to have a tight register, small amount of shares on issue. So no, we will consolidate. We haven't got a hard date at this point, so we'll leave that for the right time down the track sometime. It's not necessarily going to be a main decision point for us, but it needs to be cleaned up. That's for certain. So I think generally we could say it'll be done in the next 12 months or before. But I think our main game really here is just building on the resource itself and looking for value growth, so we can get these approvals done, get the modelling sorted out, get some upside on that, and demonstrate some early cash flow or potential for early cash flow, certainly in the next few months. I think the rest will look after itself. What we're really after is value growth, so actual market cap. What that looks like with numbers of shares on issue in some ways is not as important, though it will be one of our minor focuses to get that cleaned up.
Yeah, and how? I guess what are you going to be your big catalyst? Do you think to get things moving? Is it your drill results, confirmation drill results coming back, a bit of early cash flow look, or potentially getting another asset in there in the region to start? Easy to get another asset in and snag a cap raise onto that as well as part of the deal. It's usually less looked at.
No, we're always on the hunt for other assets to put in the deal. There's no doubt about that. We see a lot of stuff go through, but again, it's got to be the right one that makes sense strategically for us. So, looking forward, we are going to be a gold play. So it will be a gold play at that. Now, having said that, the thing we haven't talked about, and we should probably just briefly, is what already sits inside Rokeby. They do have a number of assets, but certainly it's not in this deck. No. But people go online and have a look at Rokeby on the website, you'll see they've got a number of assets throughout Australia. But of interest for me is the Queensland play. So we've got two early stage projects up in Queensland. One's a copper antimony play, and the second one's a gold antimony play, and the other one's a copper gold play. early stage, so we'll be putting a little bit of effort in there, a bit of drilling, and explore where they go for us. They're not near-term production units, that's for sure, but you never know what they could generate in terms of value for the company. So we'll certainly look at them.
Yeah.
Harrigan and Macaulay Creek.
Yeah. There you go. Up for sale, baby. For a bit of cash for Victoria.
Always up for a deal.
Always up for a deal. No, that'll bloody very interesting, mate. I assume, like, even just, I know we're talking bloody long way down the road, but these Victorian plays, like, they're not 1.5 million tonne startup jobs, are they? Like, they're like these very small, high grade things that you can run a 300,000 tonne per annum plant. Is that so? It's not like a huge feat to actually build a bloody
you'll never
plant.
do it. No, you're right. Because they're narrow vein, it's all going to be driven by the dynamics of the stopes, the size of stopes, and how many you can put in there for a year, and extract along the drives, and that's the rate limiting step more than anything else. And then around that will determine the meters of drives you've got to put in each year, and then all the other plays around that, and how much drilling you've got to do in terms of generating some reserves, and then how much drilling for resources out ahead of you for the pipeline. And then beyond that, obviously, will determine the size of the plant. But whilst it's early days yet, notionally a 300,000 tonne feed probably makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
At high grade, that represents still significant value. So you don't need a million and a half tonne feed into these things down here. And I think you'd struggle just from the geometries and everything to do such a thing. Unless you had multiple mines you might pull from. But in terms of timing and logistics, that is highly unlikely for this particular play down here in the Omeo district at this point in time. So yeah, I think 300,000 tonnes per annum is probably like a reasonable number to kind of put a finger on at this stage.
So why did AVA get rid of it? Is it like, was this sort of just lost flavour because it was in a not really the notable region of Victoria, and then Victoria having that stigma attached to them, which sounds like it's turned around? Like, why has this been hanging around a while?
No, it has been, and that's a fair question, because there's been a number of owners over the years. From the late 50s, it's been owned by a few players, some major guys, mainly for just putting a few holes in around the place and exploration, but never really did a lot. A lot of it was to do with economics and the gold price in the time back then. But probably the more serious players in more recent times was Synergy. There's an ASX listed company, owned it for a few years. They did a lot of drilling down there. They actually got in on the Adit 5 there at Maud, and did some underground drilling. There's some 65,000 metres of drilling down there. So all that core sitting there on site. So all the geological data there is fantastic in terms of core and all the logs and various written components around all that work. And then all the production records from previous years is all there. So there's a lot of data. But they effectively ran out of dough back in that time. That's when the world hit a bloody cliff, or fell off a cliff. And so they packed their bags up and left, and ABA picked it up for song. Look, I think ABA sat on it for quite a few years, but ABA, none of them are actually miners in any sense of the word. I think they're more opportunistic, getting in there and basically didn't know what to do to develop it. Hopefully I don't do them a disservice in saying that, but I think in essence that's what they had. So the gold price in recent years has been good, and they were looking to offload it, but they just couldn't find the right connection with the right players till we came along and did the deal. So in a lot of ways, I'm fine with them doing what they did, because if they did otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it. So for me, that's a great opportunity. So right time, right place, fine. I take that as a win. It's nothing to do with the deposit itself. It is a high-grade, narrow-vein gold play. It's got rich history. It's got a huge opportunity. and really it's just the timing and the players that had it at the time couldn't take it further into development. So game on.
Are they, so looking at that, is AVA going to end up with about a bit over 20% of the company if all those deferred milestones, if they're paid in shares? Is that how it works?
Notionally, but that's going to be issued in specie anyway. So no, ABA itself won't be a major holder. It will go to their shareholders.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's fine, but there will be. So there's another cap raise there to come in on the top of that. So they'll be diluted down in that sense. So yeah, obviously when we do these deals, obviously one of the things you think about is where's the control sit in the register. So that's all been carefully calculated and worked out to make sure that our vision and our plans we can actually realise and execute on. So that's all been put into consideration. Yeah. Having said that, the ABA guys are brilliant. They've been able to do a really good deal. They know where their bread's buttered. They know the team we've got here on our side. We're all mining guys, well versed with rich histories in mining and successful projects over the years. We'll get this thing away and get it done for them. So we're all winners in the end of the day.
Very good, mate. No, interesting. Oh, love a good new region of Australia I didn't even know about. Eastern Victoria Goldfields. There you go.
Oh, it's a lovely spot, I have to say.
Mate, that's good. You'll be able to get the workforce to, ski in, ski out on their weeks off. They can go up to bloody Falls Creek and stuff if they want.
No. I don't want them breaking legs doing skiing, mate.
Yeah, true. Fair enough.
I think most of our workforce will come locally there. So it's all agricultural areas through there, all into cattle and a bit of sheep, a little bit of wheat to the south, that kind of thing. Not that I'm a farmer by any stretch of the imagination. So, but no, the workforce is keen, the community's keen down there for this to actually go. So I spent the past year, I've got to know a lot of the people down in Omeo and Swiss Creek and some of the local towns there. They're itching. A lot of them have done work up there previously with Synergy and in the early days of ABA. So they know mining to various degrees. But what I like about the farmers overall, they're hard-working folk, mechanically minded, which is what I like, and willing to bloody have a go. Obviously, we'll have to tap into some people outside the area for the geos and the Mets and that. There's not too many of them just sitting around in the Omeo Valley doing nothing. But aside from that, yeah. So it won't be a big FIFO workforce at all. It'll be pretty local. So that's going to be interesting how we arrange that setup. But it's probably going to be, it'll still be a shift roster thing. But anyway, early days for that as well. But at the moment, it's all kind of five days on and the weekend off at the moment while we're just setting up. Once we get the drill programs in, they'll be around the clock, obviously, because everything's on the ticker.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, all those farmers have probably used plus on fittings already anyway, so you can throw them straight underground. So that'd be right.
Yeah, no, well, they probably do. I don't know where they get them from, but it might have been the old mine. Shouldn't say that.
Good stuff, Rich, mate. Well done on the deal. Well, as per the rest of it, mate, we'll be keeping a close eye on it. Once these drill results start coming back.
Excited.
And a
probably one of the
update.
better projects I've seen across my desk here for many years, probably 10 years since I've seen a small one for a junior that fits this bill. It's a perler. That's all I can say.
Oh, well, everybody, we'll get this one sorted, mate, and you can retire, maybe, if you got to make enough quid out of this.
I love doing it though. Digging holes and blowing rocks up's all I'm about. So
yeah.
maybe I am retired already.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, good perspective. Righto, Cobber. Thanks for coming on LEVRD, mate.
All right,
had a great time.
Indeed. Till next time.